Hey everyone, what is going on? My name is Archer Live, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing my one down dodge build. Now, keep in mind, this is still a new difficulty for me. I know the DLC has been out now for about a month, but I wanted to kind of get a video out there covering the difficulty and how I'm tackling it personally. But I've only really started playing it in the last week or so because I wanted to conquer Mayhem difficulty, then conquer Death Wish, and then move on to one down. And now that I have literally completed every single heist from hard up to Death Wish at least once, apart from Goat Simulator, that's the last one I've got to do on hard, very hard, and Death Wish, but that's by the by. The only way is up, and one down is the only difficulty left for me to tackle. And bear in mind that I have the skull from a random drop, I need to earn it, and I won't be happy until I actually can say that I did earn it, so hey ho. Now, the only real way to tackle one down, in my opinion, is a dodge build. Armor just can't hold up, and unless I can find a build that will work, I just can't ever see it working, because I would love to have an armor build go in loud, but I've tried, I don't know, it doesn't seem feasible, but I will look into it again and see if I can come up with something. But for now, we're looking at dodge, and I might change this build later on. I might do a dodge 2.0 build, but this is what I'm using right now to tackle one down. It covers all the skills, all the weapons, and I'll talk a little bit more in depth about how to tackle one down by yourself or with friends, ideally with friends. I'll talk about that later, but yeah, let's start off by getting into skills and showing you what we're going to be picking up for the gameplay. Okay, so for our skills, we're focusing mainly on the Mastermind, Ghost, and Fugitive skill trees. We're not putting any skill points in Enforcer or Technician. The whole key here is about trying to make yourself survive for as long as possible, although acknowledging that, you know, you will die in one down. There's no real kind of negotiation there. There's no way you can survive right through a heist without dying. So we're picking up some medical skills and some other defense skills to try and keep us alive, you know, for as much time as possible and reduce the amount of downs that we have. But yeah, it's all about survivability here. So, starting off in the medic subtree, we're acing Combat Medic, Painkillers, Combat Doctor, and then Inspire. Inspire being the most important skill of all of them, being able to shout teammates up once every 20 seconds. It's just one of the most useful skills that you can possibly pick up. I kind of like the way it was buffed but also nerfed, because it used to be that there was no time cooldown for it, but it only happened 75% of the time. And sometimes it could really kind of mess you up and just not revive someone no matter how many times you tried. So I like that it's guaranteed. 20 seconds, I kind of wish it was a bit less time, but they've got to have some kind of play safe strategy so that you don't have, you know, a god skill in a sense. But it's necessary to pick up. I wouldn't run one down without it, because having to run to revive someone is just really frustrating. But if you do have to, at least with basic Inspire, you can revive crew members twice as fast, so that's something as well. And then additionally, we've gone for the medic bag route. You could quite easily go for quick fix and uppers and ace those two rather than combat doctor and painkillers, but personally I would prefer to go for the medic bags route, because obviously, well, for those of you who don't know, the difference between first aid kits and medic bags is that a first aid kit will restore your health right up to the maximum, but it won't restore your downs. That is how many times you've gone down and how many downs you have left before you go into custody. However, if you use a medic bag, you do restore your full health, but it also restores your downs. So if you're on your final down on what I would call grey screen, so you know the colour's kind of draining out the screen, it suggests that the next time you go down you'll be in custody, and you'll know that because the time you down before that your screen will be completely black and white. Then you know, right, I need to refill my downs. But if you use a first aid kit, then you're just going to replenish your health, but if you die, you still go into custody. So I kind of like the idea of, you know, restoring your health, but it's almost like restoring it 3 times over. You're giving yourself more lives. But obviously in one down, because you can only down once, every life counts. And we do have another skill in Fugitive, 9 lives to get 1 extra down, but even then, it's just fighting to stay alive. And keeping your downs on top and keeping them high is so key for this. So yeah, I just prefer medic bags personally. Looking in the controller subtree, we're going for Jokers, which are one of the most important things apart from being able to revive players. Jokers are so key, and you'll see this in the gameplay because I decided to take a heist on my own. Without Jokers, there's no way I would have done it. But the skills we picked up, we've aced Forced Friendship, and then we've aced Confident, we've aced Joker, and we've aced Partners in Crime. Now, honestly, acing Forced Friendship, I don't know about it. It's the idea of having the extra damage absorption. I don't think it makes a great deal of difference, and it doesn't really come into play in the gameplay, so I might move those points elsewhere at a later date. But for now, it's mainly Confident, Joker, and Partners in Crime. which are all the skills for having converted police hostages, and then, you know, having 2 of them, and then getting all the extra boosts such as movement speed increases, then being able to take less damage and deal more damage out, increasing your health, and so on. I should note, on PC, I am aware that the Jokers have recently been nerfed. There was a patch that reduces the amount of damage they can take before they die. Regardless, I would still recommend using Jokers. I mean, personally for me, the Jokers tank so much damage and before they die, so obviously it just means on PC they die a bit sooner, but all you got to do is convert another one, and you might have to convert, you know, 2, 3, 4 more hostages during a heist. It's not great a difference, but either way, it's better to have extra guns than no extra guns at all, even if those extra guns that you've got are, you know, not as powerful as they used to be, not as overpowered. They're still there. They're still sponging bullets, and they're still making life easier for you. So, personally, I just wouldn't argue. I'd have Jokers every time in 1 down. Looking at the Ghost skill tree in the Artful Dodger subtree, we have aced Duck and Cover, Parkour, Inner Pockets, and then got Basic Sneaky. Now, the whole thing around acing Inner Pockets, I don't like that personally because it increases the concealment of all ballistic vests by 4. And I'm not using a ballistic vest, I'm using the 2-piece suit because I've gone for Rogue Dodge in this. So I didn't need that skill, however, I did need to get up to Sneaky. So I don't think there was another way I could get up there. Let me just double check, I can't exactly, yeah, exactly. So I would get Basic Shotproof if I could, but I can't, it's not enough skill points. I need to have those 4 there so I can get up to the top and get Basic. So it's just a matter of having to put those points there. At least it doesn't happen as much as it did on the old skill builds, where like you had to put in a 10, 20 points to get 1 skill at the top of a tree. But anyway, Parkour and Duck and Cover increase sprint speed, your movement speed, and also the ability to dodge while moving and while ziplining, is it? Yeah, it's ziplining. And also run and reload is quite handy. But Sneaky, now the reason I haven't aced it is because if you look at the actual description in the skill, the basic version gives you a 1% dodge chance for every 3 points of detection rate, under 35 up to 10%. So what that basically means is you get the maximum benefit of this skill if your detection risk is 5 or lower. Now if you ace it, the same benefits apply, except it's 1% dodge chance for every 1 point, which means that if you are of a detection risk of 25 or lower, then you get in the full benefits. So if you can get your kind of concealment, your detection risk, down to about 5, 6, 7, which is what I've tried to go for, then you don't need to ace it, and that's 8 points you can put elsewhere. So I tried to go for that. I've got something like 53 dodge out of a maximum of 55, so, you know, my concealment is 10. So it's not too far off, but it's enough dodge to still be worthy without having to ace it. So I would rather go down that road. I'd save the 8 points for something else. Looking at the Silent Killer subtree, we got Basic Second Wind, and then we aced Optical Illusions and aced Specialized Killing. Now, you could argue maybe go for the Professional to ace rather than Optical Illusions. Either one of them is pretty good, but the reason I went for Optical Illusions, it's not as much the 35% less likely to be targeted, because I'm pretty sure if everyone has that, then everyone's going to be just as likely, and the kind of point there is just completely negated. It doesn't apply at all, because everyone is 35% less likely, and because of that, nobody else is being targeted. But either way, you gain 1 concealment for each silenced weapon you equip, and on top of that, the concealment penalty of silencers is reduced by 2. So if I didn't pick up that skill, if I didn't ace it, let's have a look at what my detection risk would be. There you go, it's 19, and instantly I've lost 3 dodge points. Now at that point, I would probably be a bit more worried. So that's why I've aced Optical Illusions. I want to use that to keep my detection risk as low as possible on the weapons that I'm using. And you guys know me by now, I am a very big fan of Specialized Killing for loud builds, just because it's an easy way to make all weapons deal more damage by equipping a suppressor and having this skill aced. So 30% more damage with silenced weapons, it speaks for itself, it is very useful. Moving on to the Fugitive, we are looking at the Revenant subtree first, because this is the more important one for me. We've aced 9 lives, we've aced Swan Song, and basicked Running from Death. Now, very quickly I will talk about Running from Death. That is a very scenario-specific skill, because the whole ability to reload and swap weapons 100% faster, 10 seconds after being revived, it's more in those kind of situations where you're down in the middle of enemies, possibly because you had no ammo in your guns, you were trying to reload, but you couldn't reload fast enough, so you got killed. And perhaps somebody's inspired you up from across a room or something. If you can get up, reload your weapons a lot faster, you can shoot everyone around you, and chances are nobody else will get down for that kind of time period. So it's very scenario specific, but that's why I picked up the skill, because it's extremely useful. And especially with my primary weapons, the Akimbo Deagles, it's really hard to reload them in like a really stressful situation, because they take quite a while. So if you're pinned down, you need to reload faster. So any opportunity where I can reload a lot faster with pistols is really handy, and I can't pick up the actual pistol reload increase because I haven't got enough skill points simply. If I mess around with the build, I might be able to reach up there, but for now I haven't. But yeah, we got the basic. The other alternative is you could allocate those 2 points instead to basic steady grip from the technician skill tree and basic sharpshooter in the mastermind skill tree, the stable shot. But I just, honestly, I don't know, because I would much rather have this than an extra 8 stability and accuracy, only because it's very good in those scenarios. And if I don't have that ability, then I'll forever be trying to slowly reload Deagle, so that's why I've gone for it. As I mentioned earlier, acing 9 lives gives you an extra down before going to custody. And on 1 down, because you only have 1 down, or clue is in the name, an extra down basically doubles the amount of time you can stay alive, which is just, you can't even argue with it. You've got to have 9 lives for 1 down. If you don't have that, there's no point in playing 1 down at all. Swan Song, as you guys know from the Mayhem Impact build, you get to fight for 9 seconds without your ammunition depleting if you ace the skill. If you only get the basic, then you can only fight for 3 seconds, but you can waste your ammo, like your ammo will still deplete. So if you're going to get Swan Song, my opinion, get the ace or don't get it at all. That's just the way I see it personally. But beyond that, in the Gunslinger skill trait, we are looking at the basic equilibrium and then acing of gun nut and akimbo. Just a few pistol skills because my primary and secondaries are both pistols, so just, you know, extra bullets in a mag, increased rate of fire, and akimbo. 2 points I'd like to raise with this part. First off, the increased rate of fire with pistols. This is an absolute given if you're using for a secondary, which I am, the White Street pistol, or its identical counterpart, the Baby Deagle from the Point Break heist, because they both have exactly the same stats. So if you do equip those, if you don't have the rate of fire increase that takes it from 240 to 360 rate of fire, don't use those pistols. They are unusable on 1 down. Because I remember the Baby Deagle used to be really powerful before the Most Wanted update, but it got nerfed ridiculously, which I imagine happened on PC at some point. But honestly, it's gone from being a god gun to an absolute pain in the backside. But having that rate of fire increase makes it just about usable. And I wanted to stick with it because it's a really high damage output pistol. And I know a lot of people use the Bronco for dodge builds, but personally, I've never been able to make it work. The stability on it is ridiculously low. So I don't know, I can't make any kind of useful build with it, and I can't get very many kills with it, so maybe that's just a matter of practice I need with revolvers, but hey ho, I'd love to practice. I love revolvers, they're one of my favourite gun types, but there you go. But the other thing I want to talk about here, it's not really a downside of the build, it's a glitch I'm suffering from, and having spoken to my friends, I know that it's just me. So this might not apply to everybody, but I'm having a problem at the minute where with the akimbo skill, if you read the ace version, the end of it we're looking at, akimbo weapons have a 50% increased ammo capacity. So if we take a look at my primaries, the akimbo deagles, they have a total ammo of 60 at base. But with this skill, it's added an extra 50% ammo, so they have a total ammo of 90. However, if I decide I'm going to stealth a heist, or I'm going to switch to my Mayhem Impact build, so let's go down to there, or the stealth build, and then I go, okay, let's do 1 download, I'll switch back to this profile. Bam. As you can see, total ammo, there's some weird glitch going on, and you can see that there's something wrong, because in the skill bit, instead of it saying, just being blank, like for accuracy and stability, so there's no skills affecting the stats, it says 0. It's like it's trying to add something to total ammo, but it's not quite managing it. And I've noticed the only way to fix it is to have this build equipped and then restart my Payday. So in the gameplay I had to do that after recording this, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's a weird little glitch, and I do hope it gets patched, but apparently I'm the only person experiencing it right now, my friends. If anyone else is, let me know if you have a fix that's, you know, more permanent than having to restart your game. But other than that, if you do have that issue, and maybe it's worse, if you can't fix it, then, you know, getting rid of basic akimbo, I would recommend basic hostage taker in the controller subtree of Mastermind, because having at least 1 hostage or 1 converted joker to fight by your side, and if you're playing like me, you'll have 2, so that's a given, you will get an extra 1.5% health regeneration every 5 seconds. So every 5 seconds, a little bit of your health will build up. It won't make a great difference, but it could be the difference between life and death in certain situations. So if you want to switch out the points there, feel free to do that. But yeah, so glitches aside, it's a very annoying one, but that covers up my entire loadout for skills. Perk deck, we will be using the rogue, throwable, concussion grenades. My only kind of other alternative would be the javelin. And before you laugh at me like my friends did when I suggested it, basically my thinking behind the javelin is it outputs an extremely high amount of damage. I think it's something like 3,000 damage points. And provided you can get the right throw, that can one-hit kill any special, to my knowledge, except from a bulldozer. I don't think it'd one-shot a bulldozer to the head, unless his faceplate's exposed. It might do then. But yeah, it's just about being able to throw it in line. And personally, I couldn't, time where a cop will be moving and throw it ahead of them so it catches up and hits them in the head, because the cops move around a lot and bulldozers charge now. So I don't know, the safe bet is concussion grenades. They don't stun cops for nearly as long as I'd like. It's kind of like 3 seconds or something, but it's very useful, especially when you're surrounded, just that extra couple of seconds. But as you might notice in the gameplay, I throw concussion here and there. I'm not sure whether any of it will make it into the actual video, but when I throw concussion grenades, I tend to throw them and then look away or look at the floor so I don't get stunned for a second, and then hear it flash and then kind of run up and spray as many cops as I can in the time that I have. So that can be quite entertaining. Just be careful you don't flash yourself, because if you do, then what's the point of using them? It just makes you 3 seconds more, I don't know, surrounded. That was horrible English, I'm so sorry. Melee weapon, we're going for the electrical brass knuckles. As always, being able to tase enemies. It's ideal for jokers, because getting hostages can be difficult, but if you tase a cop and then try and make them surrender, it's, I don't know, like, from my perspective, this isn't an official statistic. I'd say about 9 times out of 10, the cop will surrender. Sometimes they won't, but most of the time you will see them being a lot easier to comply. So I would recommend that personally. Okay, so like an idiot, I was about to go through the primary weapons, and then I realised that I had the wrong laser attachment on my Kimbo Deagles. So I've just changed that, and now I've got 7 detection risk instead of 10, so I'm at 54 dodge rather than 53, so that's nice. So my amended Akimbo Desert Eagles are with the Monolith Suppressor, Stability Boost, Micro Laser, Bling Grip, and Long Barrel. You could get rid of Long Barrel, and that would reduce your detection risk even more, but the accuracy boost it gives, pushing it into the 80s, I kind of want that. If I got rid of it, I presume I'd be at 55 dodge. I presume it at this, but yeah, there you go, 3 detection risk. So, I don't know, maybe I'll run without that and see how it goes, but for the gameplay, the long barrel will be on the Deagles, so I'll keep that off for now. But yeah, I hadn't put the micro laser on them. I actually had the combined module, which was reducing my concealment by 2. So make sure you have a non-concealment reducing gadget if you want one on there. If you don't want one on, fair enough, because they don't always affect your stats, and it's usually the ones that reduce your concealment that actually affect your stats, so, you know, it's up to you, but I just like them on there cosmetically, and they look cool, in my opinion. I haven't gone for team boosts on one down. It's the only build that I will not equip team boosts on, because usually increasing the money and experience is just really handy, but on one down, it's about boosting your stats on your guns as much as you can. So I've gone for the stability boost on there. And then secondly, for my secondary pistol, I'm going to be using the White Streak. Again, Baby Deagle is the exact same for stats, but for this, I've equipped the Monolith Suppressor again, an accuracy boost, micro laser, and yeah, no red dot sight. I don't like the red dot sight on pistols anyway. But yeah, I didn't extend the magazine because A, it reduces the concealment, and B, only adds 2 bullets into the mag. And with already having a skill that increases the bullets in there by 5, there's no point. It doesn't make much difference personally. But yeah, so that covers my weapons, and other than that, yeah, that covers the entire one down dodge build. My mask, as you can probably tell, the one down skull. Oh boy, I wish I'd actually earned that, but it's a very nice one to accompany this build. But hey ho, so that's all the weapons and skills. Let's get into some gameplay, and I will share my final thoughts of the build and all my tips for one down I have picked up to now. The one down dodge build. Now, this is more of an interesting one because it is something I've constructed from not a great deal of experience in one down. I have played quite a few heists, but compared to the about 50 there are in Payday 2 now on console, I've done nowhere near as many as I could have done. There's plenty of heists I'm still to conquer loud, but this is my kind of experience build that I've kind of sat and tried and tested. Sounds like I've been, doing it for years, but I don't know. It's the only route I could see. As I said earlier, I don't really see an armor build that would work, so I went for dodge because I wanted to try and see if I could output high damage and still try and avoid as many bullets as I can. I think the dodge stat runs off a percentage. I'm not quite sure about that. So the maximum you can get is 55, which I think in my head means you dodge 55% of the bullets. It might not run off a percentage system. I think it does though. But dodging as many bullets as you can is always handy. But if you don't, first tip for one down: take cover. Cover is one of the most important things you can have in one down. So it's one thing being able to run past cops and dodge half the bullets. It's another thing to be behind cover and not get hit by any of them at all. Of course, being careful as to which covers are dynamic and which ones aren't, that is, which ones can be, destroyed or knocked out by cops, then, having awareness of the map can be quite useful. But knowing where the best places are before needing to use them, so if you know where you need to move for an objective, knowing the area that you're going to move to and where the best place is to go, that can be good. So for that, Casing mode, even pre-planning, having a look through that, discussing it with your friends. The Payday wiki, I've recommended that before. It's always very handy to have. But other than that, practice. Play the map out yourself, see how it goes, and if you fail, learn from the mistakes and take it forward into the next attempt. That's just how I would see it. And also sometimes with spawns, on a map, how the objectives work out, I sometimes will restart it if I don't like what comes out. With the undercover gameplay you guys are seeing, I actually restarted until I got a spawn where the limo came through the roof. If it was on the top of the roof, there were too many snipers, too many cops, you got pinned down, especially on my own, which I was. It was just not feasible. Having it inside the building made it a heck of a lot easier, and that's the gameplay that I got for you guys. I was going to record it with other people, however, they weren't really a high enough level to do it, and when we tried it, they just kind of got absolutely destroyed. And that brings me on to my second point. For one down, make sure you are a high level. If you're not a high level, it isn't worth trying, because every skill point matters from where I'm sat. Because on the build, I would kill to have more skill points, to have it in different places to make me better, but there just isn't enough to go around. So make sure that you're at least level 90, I would say, personally. Even in the 80s, I think you're really pushing it, to be honest. With me being Infamy 25 level 100 now, I don't have to go Infamous. I don't have to, you know, work my way up for skill points. I can just mess around with 120 right off the bat. So, you know, I would recommend at least level 90, because at level 90, you'll have 108 skill points of the 120, so should be enough to play around with, but make sure you're prepared for it. Other than that, like, don't try it if you're like level 50, level 60, because you will get a rude awakening, I have to tell you. But yeah, other than that, jokers. I mentioned them earlier, and I showed you them in the skills. If we think about it from a mathematical standpoint, which, you know, you would expect from the guys about to do maths at uni, but hey-ho. If you have 4 human players, right, and they all have the Joker skills, you know, completely obtained, that means that each player can get 2 Jokers. And if they do, that means you have 4 human players and 8 Jokers. So in theory, that means there are now 3 times as many crew members, if we, you know, ignore the fact that they can take less damage and so on and so forth. But looking at that, that should mean in theory that you're only getting a third of the damage you would normally get from cops. So they're shooting at you only a third of the time. Because normally they would shoot at just the 4 human members, but now you've got 8 wandering little bullet sponges in front of you that just suck them all up and shoot a few cops as well. They're really handy, and I noticed that when you move, you know, to other areas of the map to complete objectives, sometimes they'll just kind of, you know, sit and chill where you used to be. That doesn't always mean that they're just not following you. It could mean that they're actually distracting cops, keeping them away from you, and just leaves you, you know, to deal with the stragglers. Because I've noticed with one down, I kind of feel as though there's less cops. It's possible maybe the spawns are reduced. I haven't looked into it, but I think that might be the case, you know. Tougher cops, but, you know, slightly reduced spawns. I don't know. I'll have to check that up. But, yeah, so Jokers are just absolutely necessary. Having as many as you can is just brilliant. And for me, I went from having 1 human player and 2 AI to 1 human player and 4 AI. And it did pay off. It paid off immensely. So I wouldn't recommend running it without Jokers because they're so useful. But other than that, practice. It's what I always say. Making sure you know what you're doing. You're aware of what objectives come next. You're aware of your surroundings. And you know the map. Like, for instance, with me, when I watch, you know, DLC videos that people are doing, you know, talking you through different things and showing you gameplay like I have with other Payday YouTubers, such as, say, Bcroft or General Badass. Like, you watch them, but you don't really know the map. Like, I would watch, say, with Murky Station, before we got that, I watched General Badass solo stealth it, and I saw the map, but it didn't really go in. I kind of was just only seeing, you know, where he went. So it wasn't until I played the map now that I can sit here and go, okay, I know the entire map. You can come down the road, you can go down the ladder in it, and so on and so forth, the basement, all the different spawns and things. Watching a video doesn't always do that for you. It's helpful, don't get me wrong, but the experience is what really nails it and what really makes you get used to a heist. So always keep that in mind. If you don't succeed the first time, it's not because you're bad, usually, if it's one down. If it's anything else, if it's like normal difficulty, then maybe you could do it some practice, but hey-ho. No, just make sure you practice, and you know the map, and you're prepared for what's coming. You know which specials you're more easily equipped to kill, and which ones other people are. For instance, with my Mayhem Impact build, I said about how it was really good against bulldozers. So everyone else can kill all the main cops if I'm, you know, taking too much damage, but I can roll out when there's a few bulldozers and just spray at them. So knowing who's got the strengths and weaknesses, who's carrying what, is really important. And the final thing I want to talk about is ammo, because I haven't really mentioned it in this video at all. In fact, I don't think I have mentioned it at all. The only issue with one down is because there's such a need for survivability and to have doctor bags for days just everywhere, there is an issue that you do run out of ammo more. So Ammo pickups are really, really useful here. You need to be running out and getting ammo, but only when the coast is clear. Please don't run out into the middle of a street with snipers to get ammo. You will find you will be more dead than you were out of ammo. Than that, I think being dead is just slightly worse than being out of ammo, in my opinion. But you know, maybe have one person with ammo skills and 3 other human players with doctor bags. I wouldn't have the balance that there normally is other difficulties of 2 meds, 2 ammo kind of thing. I'd make sure there is more meds than ammo, but don't forget about ammo, because the second you run out of bullets, the second you kind of go, oh, what do I do now? So keep that in mind. But that pretty much covers everything I want to talk about for one down. That's all the details I wanted to talk about. So other than that, all I can say is good luck, because you certainly will need it, and I know I do. There was someone in the comment section who was saying they managed to solo the entirety of one down because he couldn't get online because his internet couldn't handle it or something. So hats off to him, because I really don't know how anyone can do one down solo loud. Maybe at some point I'll be able to do every single heist on my own. I mean, I did undercover, but it's not exactly the hardest heist. There's a reason I picked it, because I knew I could probably do it on my own, but I don't know. So there you go. Covers the entire skill. As I said, I might release another one. I might update it and release a one down dodge 2.0. Please don't be frustrated if I do. I wanted to get this out for you guys so that, you know, you have something to go with. And it has been a month since the DLC came out now, so I didn't want to leave it much longer. But if I do update it, it will be out of experience and what I think works better. So on that note, thank you guys very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to give it a like. Comment down below what you'd like to see next in Payday 2. Challenge videos, build tutorials, anything. I'm up for anything as always. And yeah, subscribe if you're new. And other than that, thank you guys for watching. And I will see you all in the next video.